Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Raksha Dayanani and I'm the moderator on behalf of HOSCO. Thank you for joining us today for this masterclass titled From Prestige to Place, Turning Luxury Brand Identity into Hospitality DNA, which is led by EHL Hospitality Business School. I'll give you a couple of minutes to sign in, and in the meantime, allow me to introduce HOSCO. HOSCO is a professional network specially designed for the hospitality industry. It was born in 2011 to empower the industry by uniting all of its professionals, educational centers, and employers in one global network. On HOSCO, you can connect with each other, you can find or provide job opportunities, you can access career advice, and courses to skill and reskill. HOSCO currently has more than 1.6 million hospitality students and professionals. We have more than 400 hospitality schools and more than 1,000 world-class companies around the globe. Today's session is extra special. You'll walk away with actionable strategies and case insights on how to translate brand DNA into successful, emotionally resonant hospitality concepts. Your three key takeaways will be learning how to clearly define who you are and where you want to go before expanding your brand, so ensuring every new venture reinforces your identity. You'll also learn how to create distinct, emotionally engaging experiences through deliberate, agile brand extension. And lastly, you'll learn how to bring in the right expertise and activate loyal clients as partners in your brand's next chapter. We have two amazing experts with us today. Allow me to introduce them. First up, we have Jacques-Olivier Chauvin. He is the president and CEO of FAUCHON Hospitality, leading the strategic vision and global development of the brand's boutique luxury hotels. He has over 30 years of experience across brands such as Louis Vuitton, Van Cleef & Arpels, Relais & Chateau, and many more. And he has been instrumental in translating FAUCHON's Parisian gourmet legacy into immersive hospitality experiences, first in Paris, then in Kyoto, and now globally. Jacques-Olivier, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, thank you, Raksha. Thank you for hosting me today. It's a subject which is very dear to my heart, beyond the job and the years that I spent on extending the brand. I think it's a key moment in the history of a brand, and I'm very, very pleased also to share the stage, so to speak, with Florent, who's come in Paris recently to discover our place, FAUCHON Hotel, with his students, and that was a very constructive and an emotional moment as well.
Thank you. And next up, we have Dr. Florent Girardin. And Florent is a professor of hospitality marketing and luxury brand management at EHL. He holds a PhD from HEC Lausanne, and his award-winning research focuses on consumer psychology and brand authenticity. He also brings real-world expertise from his role as growth driver at PwC Switzerland. Florent, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's also my pleasure to be here with you today, talking about a topic that I love, since I'm really fascinated about brands and how brands interact with customers. I think luxury brands are, one of the most valuable brands that we can find, and to observe this shift and this trend towards more from product towards more experiences, and how those brands can successfully extend to the hospitality domain, to me is fascinating. So I hope we'll today also be able to share this passion we have together with Jacques-Olivier with you, and maybe inspire your next career journey. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you both. A pleasure to have you here. And so today's format of the masterclass will be a combination of theory and real-world examples. And you, as the audience, will have opportunities for questions at the end. So we kindly ask that you pop your questions in the Q&A box, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. The masterclass is recorded, so you'll receive a link with replay a couple of days later. So don't worry if you have to leave early, or you're not able to make it for the whole session, or just want to watch it again. So let's get started. Florent, over to you.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. All right. So this is the agenda of today's session. So a little bit of theory about luxury brand extensions, their different strategies with concrete examples. And now I'll just give you one concrete theoretical element that is important to consider. And then I'll pass it over to Jacques-Olivier, who will tell you more about this successful extension of FAUCHON, historically a gourmet food company, into hospitality. And as he mentioned, we had the pleasure and the opportunity to go there and visit their hotel, their restaurant, together with my master students a few weeks ago, and it was a truly inspiring experience. So I'm really happy to have this this business case to illustrate the theory today. So why do luxury brands extend? First of all, this is linked to the value drivers of luxury brands in general. There are three value drivers. The first one is functional. This is related to the function of the product. So any product has a function, and there's a value attached to the function of a product. The backpack is supposed to carry items, is supposed to be reliable, long lasting. And this is a Louis Vuitton backpack, for example. It has these functions, okay? But this is maybe not the main reasons why people spend a lot of money buying those items, because there are other value drivers. The second one, we call it the symbolic value drivers. This is about what do you signal to others? What are you able to signal to others about yourself when you're wearing a luxury brand? It has a lot of value because it allows you to show to others that you're a successful person, that you've made it, that you belong to the upper class of the society. And this acts, the luxury brand item then acts as a symbol of your own prestige, of your own success. The third value driver is more personal. It's emotional. It's linked to your own emotions. What do you feel when you're consuming a luxury product? It could be related to the senses, of course, but also to a dream that you had since you were a child. And we can see that in many different advertising campaigns, and this is one of the latest campaigns by Louis Vuitton, they're appealing to this idea of emotions. They're, in the end, dream selling companies, as I used to say. So since, and here I'm using the iceberg metaphor, most of the value of a luxury brand is more related to the emotional and symbolic aspects. And I give you an example. If you take Omega as an example, okay, its functional value is the fact that it indicates time accurately. But I assume that it's not the reason, the primary reason why people are spending $10,000 or euros to buy an Omega watch. It's because it doesn't indicate times more accurately than another cheaper watch, right? The true reason why people are buying an Omega and spending a lot of money for an Omega is because it brings them a lot of symbolic and emotional value because of the history of Omega, the fact that it's the first watch that went to the moon, for example, or because it is the watch of James Bond. This gave you a lot of emotions and a lot of symbolic meaning. So if you take the iceberg metaphor, it means that most of the value of luxury brand is created through those symbolic and emotional aspects rather than the ones related to the functional value of the product itself. Why am I telling you that? Because for a luxury brand, then it becomes quite natural and easy to extend in other product categories. So we're talking here about horizontal extension, transferring the competencies and the know-how to another product category. It is relevant for luxury brands in particular because they have this huge value potential, which is not linked to a product category, but which is linked to the symbolic and emotional value and can be transferred to another product category if the brand is legitimate enough and have enough competencies in these new product categories. So through history, we have seen a lot of those horizontal extensions from luxury brands. The first one was, I think, was Chanel perfume, number 5. Haute couture brand was for the first time extending into another product category, perfumes. And you know the success of the Chanel number 5 perfume. So this shows that there was a lot of potential behind luxury brands to extend in different product categories and bring more business, more revenues. And now we can see that so many different extensions from Chanel, from Louis Vuitton, or from Gucci, because they're using the symbolic value, basically the value associated to the logo, and transferring this value to other categories. Some of them are quite, how to say, exotic, like a ping pong set. You wouldn't expect, for example, Louis Vuitton to sell a ping pong set, but they do it, right? So it's not new. It's not a new phenomenon. What is new, though, or relatively new, is the extension towards hospitality. And this is related to the potential of the hospitality business in luxury, with a luxury positioning. And the fact that since now 2 years, we observe a dip in the share of luxury goods. So meaning high net worth individuals, wealthy people, spend less money on personal goods than in the past and more on experiences, as you can see on this chart, which has been published in the annual report of Bain and Alta Gamma. So it means that now luxury goods brands somehow need to find other way to grow because their main business, personal goods, is on the decline. And experiences are on the rise. So it's a natural way to diversify the business and profit from this new source of revenue. So we have observed recently, actually the first company to do it was Versace in 2000, but we have observed since then a lot of extension of luxury goods companies coming from fashion, jewelry industry into hospitality with beach clubs, for example, pop-up stores. These are kind of ephemeral ways to try and test how a luxury brand can extend into hospitality. And for them, it's also, for those brands, also a way to learn, right? With those ephemeral pop-up stores. The next step then is to open more permanent hospitality points with cafes, restaurants like Le Café V from Louis Vuitton in Osaka, Gucci Osteria in Italy, USA, Japan, and Korea, or the Tiffany Blue Box Cafe in London, Coach in Jakarta, and Ralph Lauren's in London. So these are permanent hospitality outlets operated or created by luxury goods companies. Sometimes they do collaborate with existing restaurants or existing hospitality brands to operate the business, but the brand is very present, so we can say it's a brand extension from those brands. And finally, I think the extension that requires the most capital and the most investment are hotels. And here we have seen different strategies of luxury brands extending into hotels, with the first one, Palazzo Versace, that opened first in Australia and then in Macau, not very close to their foundation place, which is Italy, and not so successful. But we have seen some, on the opposite, some successful extensions like Bulgari, which has first opened the hotel in Milan and then further extended into other cities. And now they have more than 10 hotels worldwide, and they're planning to open more and more hotels. So it's a very successful example where Bulgari, part of the LVMH group, has partnered with Marriott to operate the hotels. So in the learning curve to the extension into hospitality, they decided to partner with Marriott, a well-established company in hospitality, to benefit from their competencies. And now they plan to open the first hotel that they will operate themselves in Roma, showing that they've now acquired necessary competencies to operate the hotel themselves. Armani is another example with an opening in Dubai. Louis Vuitton is about to open a hotel on the Champs-Élysées. It's not clear yet exactly the size of the hotel and the type of hotel it's going to be. And then there are other more interesting strategies, like the one from Chopard, who has opened a hotel very close to the boutique in Paris on One Place Vendôme, but without any mention of the Chopard brand, keeping it very separated from the boutique, because they wanted to have this place as a place that belongs still to the family owning Chopard, but with a separated brand. So they called it One Place Vendôme, and a very exclusive hotel with only 15 suites. So there are very different strategies, and it will be interesting to understand when they are successful, or what are the criteria or the success factors that we can rely on to ensure that this will be successful extensions. And this is when I would like to bring this piece of research from Spiegel and colleagues from 2012 already, who mentioned and created the concept of brand extension authenticity, comprising 4 dimensions. They explained that the brand extension authenticity is the perception from the customers of the authenticity of the extension itself. And this authenticity, perceived authenticity of the extension, is related to the fact that the brand maintain the standards of the brand, honor the heritage, preserve the brand essence, and avoid exploiting the brand's identity. So whatever the extension, it has to fulfill those 4 dimensions if it wants to be more successful. From the customer point of view, it's really important that the brand respects those dimensions in order to perceive the extension as authentic, and then it will enhance the success of the brand, because the guests will have a higher willingness to go to these hotels or go to these restaurants if they perceive it as respecting these 4 dimensions. And this is when I would like to pass it on to our guest of today, because I think FAUCHON is one of the great examples of a brand. When I discovered it, I said, yes, they really thought this through, and to me, they're high on all these different dimensions, which makes it a very interesting business case. So now, Jacques-Olivier, over to you to talk about the successful extension of FAUCHON into hospitality.
Thank you very much, Florent. And if you say successful, I take it, because it's not been an easy ride, so to speak. So I'd like to share with you this story that we started roughly 10 years ago, about this journey from patisserie to hospitality. And I'm gonna share my screen here. So I'm sure that you may know or have heard about FAUCHON. It's been an established brand actually since 1886, so almost 140 years. And in itself, it's a bit of achievement, so to speak, to survive so many years, so many ups and also so many downs. You may have heard about FAUCHON actually closing some shops in some cities. It's been really a journey through a lot of very interesting developments, especially in Japan, where we've been for 50 years, and also in the Middle East, where we are opening. And I was there in Saudi Arabia last week to finalize our next hotel there in Riyadh. But it's also interesting to understand, as Florent just mentioned, that there is a stream of consistency in the brand development of FAUCHON. And we went step by step, I would even say generation by generation, from the initial métier of FAUCHON, which was actually the patisserie, the gourmet goods, into fine dining and cafes, and that was more like 50, 60 years ago, into retail and travel retail in airports, into then traiteur, reception and catering, and that was 10 years ago, and then now in the hospitality. So that's interesting to understand that from one stage you go to the next one in a kind of a circle of legitimacy, a circle of credibility. And every time you can switch to the next because you have succeeded in the previous one. So it is not like 100 years ago, we would have gone from just patisserie to hotel. No, it has gone through different stages, and especially cafe and cafe restaurant is a pillar of hospitality as well. So I'd like to answer to a question which is very, very often asked, is why hospitality for FAUCHON? And I think that the number one reason was a need, not a nice to have, an absolutely need, almost an existential need to reinvent FAUCHON. And so there were many or several options here, and I will tell you why we chose hospitality. But there was a need after 140 years to evolve. And the first inspiration were the clients itself. So it's been through actually very loyal clients that one day on the other side of Place de la Madeleine, where we were born, someone said, oh, that would be a great place to open a hotel. And that could be your hotel. And under one roof, you would have all what FAUCHON has to offer and more. And that was actually a great idea. And that was also the opportunity to acquire this place, because you never get a second chance to acquire a building like this, who used to be, like, by the way, a building with history. It was Baccarat building. The third reason was to establish a stronger business model. Most of the time, a brand extension is also very rational in the need to find a more solid ways to actually develop sustainability of your business. And you know that retail, pastry are not very much money-making business. Hospitality is a very strong one, is a very resilient one, is a very sustainable one. And so it's also the reason why so many brands today are inquiring. But it's not because it is interesting that you would success. There are also conditions for success. The fourth reason is the ownership, your shareholders. And extending your brand is a risk. And any risk should be considered from a shareholder perspective, because you have to be ready to invest and reinvest and maybe fail and maybe reinvest again to success eventually. So this is very much linked to a long-term strategy and vision. The fifth reason is it's an incredible, and we have actually learned it, and it was not something that we had anticipating, is the excitement for the team. It's incredible to realize when the day, I remember when we said to the team, yes, let's study the option of opening a FAUCHON hotel. And they were all absolutely thrilled about this. That was a way also for their own motivation, their own, I would say, care for the brand to be multiplied, and their creativity to be even more challenged. And they were not coming from hospitality, obviously, but they were willing to learn. And that's a very, very strong drive here. And the last reason that I can say is the appetite for innovation. There is a certain time within your sphere of, I would say, savoir-faire that you have actually entertained for years and years. You're a bit like a fish in his aquarium. You don't have any more like fresh water to develop, and you need to actually find another field, a playground. And hospitality is an incredible playground as well. So based on all this, there was a need to establish a strong singularity of FAUCHON. And so we had to take back our DNA to actually analyze it in a way that would not be like necessarily very only positive. There are plus, there are minus. There were also things that were not emphasized enough within the brand. And so we had actually to define 4 pillars that you can see here and that I'm going to explain to you now, which are what we offer, what we have been offering for many years, and what we like to translate into hospitality. And so it's really a key first step in the process to know who you are, or who you should be, even is the better question, who you should be. And then you establish whether these key DNA elements are relevant to the new, I would say, industry or métier that you'd like to acquire. And so what you see here are the 4 pillars that we feel are very FAUCHON, and at the same time, which are relevant for the world of hospitality. So the first one is gourmet. It sounds absolutely obvious, but we wanted the hotel room to become a gourmet place, not only the restaurant in the hotel, but also the hotel room itself. And so just to give you 2 examples here, we have reinvented the minibar to make it what we call a gourmet bar. And we have developed it with Roche-Beaubois, and it is sold actually in Roche-Beaubois stores. They have sold over 1,000 of these cabinets that you can see here on the screen. And when you open this cabinet, what you find, and you have it here on the left of the bedroom, you find a variety of FAUCHON products which are offered. So it can be champagne, it can be chocolate, cookies, macaron, you name it. And it's like a discovery, it's like a surprise. And this particular feature, piece of furniture, embodies in a way this promise of a gourmet hotel. There are other ways we have actually implemented this gourmet side. And the second one is that you can see here is we don't have a room service, we have a chef service. So there is a proper chef coming to your room, explaining you the menu, etc. That also is very new. It's not easy to implement, but it's very close to us. And this is why we wanted to do it. The second pillar, so as you've understood, GLAM is made of 4 letters, G for gourmet, L for location. And the location we are looking for with our hotels is location which are lively and luxurious. Lively, and we call it lively because it's a mix of local clients and international travelers. And we feel that this blend is very, very important. And what we call luxurious is luxurious now or luxurious in the future. And here you have, on this picture here, it's called Diriyah, and it's an amazing new neighborhood in Riyadh, which is the World Heritage Place of Riyadh, actually, which is under big renovation at the time, and it's going to be a very high-end neighborhood and a very genuine one as well. So this is where you can mix both in a smart way. The third pillar is about artisan. We feel that we are artisan of the taste, as artisan du goût, and we are partnering with other artisans in many fields, in many craftsmanships. And you can see also that every time we open a hotel in a different city, it's the case in Kyoto. In Kyoto, we would partner with a Kansai artisan, a Japanese artisan. And so it's really about replicating the spirit of FAUCHON, but in every time a different culture. And the fourth, which for us is very signature as well, is we have realized at the beginning of this journey that FAUCHON is a very feminine brand. It's not a brand for women, it's a brand in tune with women, where actually everybody could find an element which speaks to himself. And in the case of a hotel room, what it is that we have implemented in terms of, I would say, feminine touch, we have Dyson hairdresser, for example. In each room, we have a dedicated lighting for makeup. We have a variety of 20 herbal teas and teas. We have a special floor, which is very pleasant to walk with bare feet on, etc. So these are things which are very related to this. We have a dozen of these all together, and we keep them every time we open a hotel. I would underline as well that this journey has obliged us to sharpen our brand. And this is very interesting, it's like a backward effect, if you will, on the initial métier of the brand. because we are and we will be for a long, long period of time in hospitality, we need to be even more relevant in what we've been doing for many, many years. And I take the example of food and beverage, where we came from having only cafe, and we had to invent a fine dining experience called Grand Café, which is one level up. We had to invent also a bar Fauchon, meaning we had to develop Fauchon cocktail, so Fauchon mixology. And then we had also to make sure to establish a clear differentiating points between café and salon de thé in terms of operating hours, in terms of menu, in terms of price point, etc. So when you extend your brand, you have to make it even more clear. You have to make it even more, I would say, relevant every time you speak. And because you will have investors, I would say, believing in you, you have to explain this to them and you have to convince them. And this is where I switched to the retail then. We didn't have before boulangerie. And now because of the hotel, there was a need to host within the hotel a boulangerie because the hotel needs a breakfast. And that sounds quite surprising, but there was no before. There was no Fauchon croissant, and now there are, for example. And same for the boutique. You have to extend the concept of your boutique in a compact way that would fit in the hotel and not only in a big flagship store. And the third part is very interesting, is the spa. What does he have Fauchon has to do with the spa? And you have to find the link. You have to find this legitimate link between the both. And it is true, obviously, the pleasure you get in a treatment, the sense of smell, the olfactive sense that should be developed because very much linked to Fauchon. And also this kind of 5 senses experience that you need to develop as well. So we have partnered with brands like Carita. We have defined a Fauchon spa and a beauty suite in order also to be able to fit, so to speak, in different kind of environment. In Kyoto, we have a small beauty suite, which has been actually awarded and recognized. And in Riyadh, it would be 500 square meters. Also, it has actually encouraged us to elevate the brand. And I take the point of Florent when he said maintaining. I would say that the brand extension should elevate. There is, of course, you can imagine a brand extension downward. It's a risky game. But a brand extension, uplifting your brand is very exciting. And as you can see here, I will not get into too much detail, but a 5-star hotel plus, actually, because it's in the range of 700 euro, for example, the average daily rate in Paris. It's more than a 5-star hotel. And so it's more than just the kind of price point that Fauchon used to have in the past. So I can say that Fauchon has never been more in the world of luxury than since we opened our first hotel in Paris. And the second hotel is better than the first. And the third one is better than the second. So there is even like a trend to go even upward. Critical point here, and it will ring a bell to you all, is education, training, recruitment, hiring. And this is the critical reason for hospitality sometimes nowadays to face obstacles. And with Fauchon, already 7 years ago, we established a school in Rouen in Normandy. This is where actually Auguste Fauchon, the founder of Fauchon, was born. And I will not elaborate too much, but steadily from this year to 2 years from now, there will be up to 400 students there, including students related to hospitality management as well. And maybe there's something to do with EHL on this particular matter. So what's the outcome of 7 years of operation? And this will be a bit of my conclusion here is number one, I would say it's establishing whether there's been a level of, I would say, recognition by the clients. And this is the last Condé Nast Traveler annual Reader's Choice Award, and we've been named #1 luxury boutique in Paris, which obviously is a huge recognition for us. But also, if you look into more detail, you can see here that we've been Traveler Choice Award, that we have 9.3 rating on booking.com, etc. We've been awarded Best Hotel for Women last year, etc. So it's a 360 degrees, so to speak, recognition. And also, we should not forget one thing, and if there is one KPI to retain from our success, is it's not that much about revenue, even not really profitability. It's about this here, direct booking. The share of reservation coming to us direct, without no intermediary, no travel agency, no OTAs, just because of the brand. And this is for us something that we very much value, because economically it's very good not to pay commission, but also it's very much about establishing that the brand itself is the #1 driver. So our goal is to sign first 10 hotels by 2030. So after Riyadh, we shall have Jeddah, and then Tokyo, and then China and America. So we want really to be on key continents. There will be hotels, but there will be also villas and branded residence. And we are even interested in establishing, because of this feminine part of our brand, some spa and wellness also in some cities. So what are the key learnings of these few years of operation in hospitality? #1, I think, is brand extension is, and that could be considered as a paradox, but should be first about protecting the core of your brand. It's not about remaining, on the contrary, conservative. It's about re-engaging the brand in a journey that will make it even better in the future. So again, elevating the brand. Legitimacy is earned, and this is also very important. So this relates to what I said before about guest or client telling you about your future. Why don't you do this? When you have 150, 100, or 1,000 of people saying the same thing, maybe it's right. Storytelling is key as well. We have, from the start, saying that we are the gourmet hotel. So the brand extension, the way you do it, should be summarized in just one sentence, not more than one sentence. Why are you doing this? Because we are a gourmet hotel, and gourmet hotel will be under the umbrella of a hotel which will provide all the experience of FAUCHON in one place. The emotional connection is very strong, and this is where sometimes some brands are failing. They are failing because they consider that it is just a design exercise, and opening an hotel is not a design exercise. It's primarily a place where you attract because of your design, and you have people returning because of your people. So you have to decline, you have to establish which are the key rituals of your brand, and they are born, they are supported by your team. So, and it's just about emotion. And then cultivate the right ecosystem. What I mean here is to say that when you start a new métier, so to speak, you don't master it, and you have to recruit people. And don't pretend that it's easy to be an hotelier. As you know, it's not easy, and it's very risky. So you have to create, not only through hiring, but also to partnering with people. And we have partnered, for example, with operators in many countries. We have partnered with brand, as I quoted Dyson. I can quote American Express. I can quote leading hotel of the world. All these people have helped us, assisted us in making FAUCHON now a real hotelier. And to conclude, I would say that a luxury brand extension succeeds when it feels like a natural chapter in the brand story. One written with the same page, just on a different same pen, just on a different page. Meaning that in a few years now, nobody will even remember that there was a FAUCHON without hotel. It will become an absolute natural. So I guess Raksha is over to you now.
Thank you to both speakers. That was really informative. Let's head over to the questions. We have a lot of them flowing in right now, so we'll just jump right in. Okay, the first one is for Jacques-Olivier. Mr. Chauvin, at the beginning, when launching FAUCHON Hospitality as a luxury brand in the highly competitive hotel industry, what were some of the key strategies you employed to convey exclusivity and authenticity?
I think it was especially about avoiding the copy of others, because that would have gone the easy way. I take a successful hotel and I copy it and I put my brand. So I think the key first exercise is to reconnect with who you are and then establish if you're relevant in your next brand extension, i.e. hospitality.
Okay, and this is maybe for both of you. For emerging luxury brands, how can one maintain a high-end perception without the resources of more established players? For example, in industries such as home decor or furniture, etc.
I would say by partnering with existing companies that have an expertise in the domain when you want to extend, building partnership or using a license model can be a good way to extend faster and with less financial resources, even though it comports some risks, as when you use a license model, you're not entirely controlling the quality, and as I mentioned before, maintaining the standards, or as Jacques-Olivier said, elevating the standards is something very important when you extend to another industry. I would say the license model has some risks, but sometimes it is the faster way of diversifying.
Okay, thank you for that. So you both spoke, you had a supplement to each other. Florent, you said maintain, and Jacques-Olivier said elevate. So I'm going to ask both of you, what's one essential ingredient a brand must preserve when expanding into hospitality? Considering one of you said maintain, one I said elevate. Okay, what's one thing you wouldn't compromise on?
For me, it's guest satisfaction. If you provide or achieve a level of guest enjoyment, even more than satisfaction away, that is beyond expectation, beyond the expectation of your brand, which is also already established as very high, I think you have properly achieved something. But in order to provide this, and it relates to something that you may have heard before, you have to hire and train and motivate a team in line with this level of expectation. And it's funny because now the guest relation of FAUCHON Hotel, they are the trainer of the retail team of FAUCHON. So they have acquired a level of guest understanding that is even better and more relevant than the one which used to be in shops, in boutique, in travel retail. So it is, again, I think the brand extension should give back to the maison mère, to the core métier. And if it does, it creates a virtuous kind of circle, which for me is the ultimate reason for extending the brand.
Okay.
And to me, it's really about protecting the brand equity by always finding, and you mentioned it very, very clearly, Jacques-Olivier, always finding links with your brand DNA. Every thing you do must have a link with the brand history, and you should be able to tell stories to your guests when they ask questions. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? You need to have an answer behind every choices you made, and this answer should be in the brand history, or finding subtle links or bridges with your brand DNA. And that's really, I think, the key. And as you mentioned, Jacques-Olivier, it's not a design exercise, but I think it's a branding exercise. And I really liked when you said, well, it forced us to look back at what really defines FAUCHON, what are the key pillars of FAUCHON. So sometimes extending into hospitality is also an opportunity to clarify what is our brand about, what is our brand promise, and how can we keep this promise when extending into hospitality. I think that's also the beauty of this extension. It gives you some opportunities to really clarify your brand identity.
Okay, thank you both. I have another question for Jacques-Olivier. You mentioned that storytelling bridges the gap. Today, many social media experts recommend that brand owners show up personally to tell the story, often appearing on camera themselves. In your view, is this approach appropriate for luxury hospitality or other luxury brands? Or is it better suited to mid-market brands? And how should luxury brands balance authenticity and discretion when it comes to storytelling?
I think storytelling or story enjoyment should really be borne by not only every member of the team, but also every guest. So I would not really support the idea that there is like an iconic persona of the brand, not in the world of hospitality at least. I would say embodying the message by, I don't think that. And we have a way of establishing our check-in ritual within FAUCHON, which goes not through the counter, but through the library. So the first way people are welcome is we would take care of their luggage and we would walk them to the library, and they would be seated. And they would be offered with FAUCHON macaron and a FAUCHON mocktail, and then a member of the team, a guest relation, would come and sit as well. They would not like stand, and they sit because they are here like friends, welcoming friends, and telling the story of our hotel. And it starts always with, why have we discovered that creating a FAUCHON hotel is a good idea? And so I love these people because these guest relation, they are 20, 30, 40 years old, whatever. They are the ambassador of our brand. And for 10, 15, maybe 30 minutes, they would be the voice of the brand in a one-to-one discussion with the guest. And there is nothing to sell in this discussion because the room is booked. So it's pure friendship. It's pure support. It's pure human-to-human way to help and make the discovery of Kyoto, of Paris, etc. So this is what I like in the storytelling. So not that much of the iconic GM or whatever you may call him.
Fabulous. That's really nice to know. Yes, please go ahead, Florent.
Yes, sure. I would like to compliment. I completely agree with you, but it also depends again on the brand identity, because I would take a counter example. When Armani opened their first hotel in Dubai, Giorgio Armani himself was very much involved in the design of the hotel, in the choice of every little details, because the promise of the Armani hotel is live with Armani. So the promise that they made to clients is like, if you go to the Armani hotel in Dubai, you will live like Armani, you will understand the style of the founder and the designer, Giorgio Armani. So of course, this is the icon is there, and the brand is very much tied to this person. So in that particular case, the physical presence of Giorgio Armani himself when they opened the hotel was crucial, and he went there and he was really mingling with the clients, and he said, I have to be there because this hotel represents my name. So yes, I agree, and the staff, the employees, they play, I think, the most important role in everyday success of the delivering the experience. But sometimes when you have such a strong icon person behind the brand, it's important also that this person is there and represents the brand also in the extension.
Yeah, thank you. Valid points. I have another question here about emotional resonance, and this is probably one for you, Jacques-Olivier. How do you measure emotional resonance in your guest experiences? You mentioned that if some guests say, or if repeated guests say the same thing, then you really have to go work on it. And so which data do you use for this? Do you rely on specific types of guest feedback, such as emotional keywords in reviews or returning guest behavior, or to understand how your brand is making people feel? And how does this data help you make future decisions regarding service design or branding?
That's a very fair question. Obviously, with FAUCHON, since we are not part of a big group, we don't have like this massive loyalty program that you may know, etc., with millions and millions of members. Yet we are in connection with leading hotels, for example, which provide also connectivity with very good clients. But there are two ways I would actually measure the success. Number one is returning. And from stay number 2 in any FAUCHON hotel, you are a recognized guest. You don't need to acquire X million of points, whatever. Since you are back, you are an established and loyal guest to us. And so the connection once you're back is even stronger. Even when it is someone going to Kyoto in the name of Paris, it is also very strong, very, very strong. And the second way we establish this emotional connection is when these people, when they return, they trust us for organizing their most important celebration in their life. This is a lot at stake here because they trust us in establishing and making sure that this moment so important will be a complete success. That is probably, and we have, I would say, 80% of our stays which have something to celebrate. So it's not like a minority, huh? It's the core, very core of our reservation, have something to celebrate. And the third way we establish our emotional connection is when someone refers our hotel to someone else. So in this case, and it could be family, friend, or professional connection, whatever, we always extend the same benefit to this new client as the one coming from the so-called loyal guest, the guests that have stayed already. And it is like extending the circle of a family. It's very much, I would say, marketing 101. Huh? I'm not saying, I'm not inventing something, but it's super powerful. And I have to say that we were not that much sure that it would work. And today, to say that probably a quarter of our clients can refer to one category or the others.
Okay. So here's a question for both of you. How do you train employees to meet standards and share brand stories and values? What needs to be a core part of their training? Because you mentioned that at FAUCHON hotels, for example, that the staff take you to the library and tell you a story and really give you that immersive experience. So what is the training that goes into that?
I think it's for us, training is more a matter of taking ownership of something and living it every day, versus a training session in a dedicated meeting room. And so, but again, it's because we are 60, 70 room boutique hotels, so it's a size where you can train much more easily. It's also because in this kind of boutique hotel concept, you would encourage people to be multitasking, to be multi-talented, and even to go from F&B to hotel side. And that's something very unusual. In a normal kind of established hotel chain, you would not go from one side to the other. It's very rare. So when you are a brand which is not coming from hospitality, there is no, I would say, boundaries. And that could also lead to new approaches to management.
Oh, it's a fair question. Also, I think maybe, Florent, you can help, because storytelling is not traditionally part of hospitality, right? It's not a integral piece of your daily life. So what do you feel about that? How do you think that could be approached?
Storytelling, yeah, I think that's more and more consumers, they want to understand what brands stand for. What is the meaning that the brands are carrying on? And this has been true for products since a very long time. And if you go to any luxury a maison store, they're very good at telling stories behind products, behind the craftsmanship. And in hotels, I think it's some of the hotels, and this, there will be then a distinction between the hotels that do have this heritage and this long history. The Parisian Palace, for example, they have this very long history, so they have this ability of telling stories about famous guests that came, etc., or about the building that is a century old, etc. But more and more, guests want to understand the meaning behind the brand, and I think then any brand, even if it's new, has a lot of things to say about the values they stand for, the people that have been in the history of the brand and that have founded it, that have been in the different milestones of the brand. And this is how also you build this emotional connection and this bond, not only with a specific place but with the brand in general. And you mentioned clients that went to Paris and then to Tokyo. So if you can build loyalty at the brand level, it means you can also start to open hotels in many different locations and start to build this community around your brand and this loyalty of customers going to different locations but staying with you. And a very successful example it would be Aman Hotels, that has been able to build this loyalty at the brand level, because also of their ability to tell stories and the meaning behind the creation of their concept.
Fabulous. I think that's wonderful. So if you're a job seeker or professional seeking to advance, make note, storytelling skills are really important. On that note, there's a question about specific expansion. So someone is asking, I wanted to know how I could replicate something like this as a model with a high-end 20-room property in the Bahamas. Would you suggest linking up with brands in order to promote it, or create a self-sustaining brand from the ground up for more holistic growth, even though it would be slower?
Well, creating a brand takes time, a lot of time. Creating brand value, it's not something you can do over a few years. It really takes decades to build this brand equity on the long run. So I would say if you have a very exclusive location, it's a good idea to partner with existing brand that can bring you their equity and the legitimacy and the visibility. So that rather than starting, if you start with a new brand, then of course you can really think about what is the story I want to tell, what is the meaning of my brand, what my brand promise, etc. But you need to be just aware that it will require a lot of time to build this brand recognition that will then allow you to open many more hotels. So if you want to be quick, I think it's partnering with an existing brand which has already a lot of equity is a better alternative.
Okay, and I have a question for both of you as well. And especially Jacques-Olivier, you mentioned about the new opening in Jeddah, and you were there, and you're looking to expand there. Are your strategy and services the same and applied in every country, or do you provide different experiences, taking the cultural aspect in consideration? I have two of these questions, so people are really interested in that. And someone else is asking an extension of the same, which I will read out. How will you create and understand within the local market with your unique French hospitality and style? It is a vastly different market segment than Europe.
And that's, again, a very strong point. It's not about exporting our Parisian art de vivre and make it look like local. That would be completely artificial. So no, it's precisely our model is a license model. It's not a franchise model. So it's not about copy and pasting the Paris hotel everywhere. And it is it means that the first thing we would do, and that's been the case in Kyoto, it's been the case also in Miami, where we are working at the time with an investor, is about establishing, okay, what is the location about, what is the promise of this hotel, what is the conviction of the ownership, and how can we relate this with what FAUCHON has become. And in the case of Kyoto, we say FAUCHON meets Kyoto. It's not FAUCHON is Kyoto, it meets Kyoto. So how we source product, how we source artisan, how we source ritual. There is a cérémonie du thé, tea ceremony at our hotel in Kyoto with a FAUCHON twist, which is very respectful. And we have partnered with a matcha tea house, 300-year-old. So we would be more curator of the same kind of values that are the values that we have supported for 140 years. And we won't impose our way of life, by no means.
I like that. I like how you said meets and not is. And I think that it's really beautiful, the power of words, right? Okay, lovely. And last question for Florent. What signals or cues must a hotel convey for guests to immediately recognize the original brand DNA? So are there specific sensory, design, or service elements that consistently help communicate a brand's core identity?
That's a very good question. So to me, the first cue to use is the interior design. Especially if you're a fashion brand, the interior design, using the brand codes, respecting in terms of colors, in terms of shapes, this would be the first one. The smell is more tricky. I know smell in hotel is something that a lot of brands are implementing, but I don't think that's the first cue that customers will recognize. And the second one is the way of welcoming. So the kind of interactions that you have with your guests, this has to be the same as in the boutique. So if you're a retail company and you have a certain way of interacting with your guests in the boutique, this should then be replicated in the way you welcome guests in your hotel. So yes, I would say definitely interior design first, and then guest or employee-guest relationship.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. I would like to thank both of you for today sharing your expertise and keeping us engaged in these stories and these questions. I would like to encourage the attendees today to check out EHL's programs. I'm sure you must have loved this masterclass and it must have been informative. So please do check the programs out on the website. And thank you so much for joining us today, and stay connected with HOSCO. Check out HOSCO's website. We have a newsletter, we have career advice, we have courses to reskill and upskill. So definitely lots to be in touch with. And I will thank you for your attendance today, and we'll be in touch. See you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.